Okay, another mannerism when you're doing interviews. Do not fidget. Play with your hands, play with your ring, play with your hair, play with your papers. It's kiss of death. Fold your hands if you need to. Place them in your lap. You can use your hands to talk a little bit, but make sure you're not fidgeting. Another thing you want to make sure that you're doing is that you're not chewing gum. Terrible. Don't do that. If you want to have a breath mint before, if you want to have gum before to make sure that you can communicate without knocking them out from your lunch, that would be good. But make sure you take it out of your mouth before you interview. Also, eye contact is critical with each of the people. When you're talking, you want to make sure you're looking at each of the judges and sharing with them. If one judge specifically asks a question, you want to address your comments mostly to that individual, but you don't want to focus solely on that individual because what you're basically saying is the other judges are not important. So if one judge asks you a question, spend about 70% of your time talking directly to that judge, but also glance over at the other people, letting them know that you're including them in the conversation. It's critical to make sure that they have that connection as you're going through the process.
Very important. Very, very.
Smile.
You're happy.
I want this job.
I'm happy to be here. I want to be here.
You need to present a positive, outgoing atmosphere. Who wants to hire somebody who's a sourpuss? They don't want to hire that. They want to hire somebody who they know is put together, has a positive attitude that's going to uplift other people, and they're going to do a good job. That's what you want, and that's the kind of people who are going to win the 4-H competitions. All right, next section, presentation. When you're doing your presentation, once again, you need to sell yourself. You need to be able to stand up on a chair and say, I am good. Now, there's a fine line between presenting really and truly what your skills are and being straight out arrogant. You can cross that line. But you need to be humble enough to honestly say what you can do and present that in as a positive a light as possible. Be honest, be yourself, and let them know really how good you truly are. And you need to be able to do that. You know, there's a statement that's called what do they call it? The elevator
speech.
Elevator speech. That means you have 45 seconds to sell yourself and your best characteristics to somebody in an elevator ride. You should be able to do that. If somebody says, so why do you think that you're good for this job? You need to, in 45 seconds, concisely and clearly state why you're good for it. If they're interviewing for a state ambassador, or if you're interviewing for National Congress, you should, in 45 seconds, be able to go boom, 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 boom. This is why I am good. And you should be able to do that in about 45 seconds to a minute.
And that is one of those questions you should expect to be asked. Why are you the one that we should choose for this, whatever it is? And that's the reason why you got to do that homework about who they are, because you've got lots of talents, but you need to know which ones would really help them or would apply to whatever you're applying for.
That is so true. You have a whole toolbox of skills that you have. You need to show them the tools or the skills that you have that's applicable to the job that you're applying for, or for the position, or for the contest. If you show them your whole toolbox, they might get lost with everything you're doing. You want to be specific and focused in what you want to present to them. That's very true. Another thing that's very critical is when they ask you a question, there's two bad things you can do. Either tell them not enough information or tell them too much information. So if they ask you a question that's like a yes and no question, and it's a really bad interviewing skill for somebody to do that, but they might say that. Do you have any leadership experience? Yes. That's a bad way to answer it, okay? If you were to then go on and spend 10 minutes on all the leadership experience, that might be a bad way of doing it too. What you want to do is find the happy medium. You want to be able to tie in and specify those top things that you are good at. Do it concisely, clearly, and in a way that they can remember it. Because if you're telling a story, they're going to forget by the end of the time. What was the question I asked? What are we talking about? You don't want to get there. Be concise, be brief, but make sure you give them the information that they need. Too little or too much is bad for you. The next thing is don't be afraid to ask questions. Even if it's a contest and they're interviewing you, make sure that you have questions that are pertinent and critical to what they're trying to do. Ask them how much time it will take. If it's a job, you'll be asking them when will they be knowing When will they be doing the hiring? How much money will be paying? If it's a job, if it's like say the trip to DC, which is national conference, you might ask them, when will the trip be? Who would be the person as the chaperone? Those are questions that you can ask that shows that you have knowledge about it, but you would like to have a little bit more, and it shows interest. If you're just there to answer their questions and you don't have any yourself, it shows that you really haven't engaged in what you're trying to do. So make sure you have 2 or 3 questions prepared to ask your interviewers. You need to do that. All right, and another thing is really good is to follow up.
Yes.
If you're in a job situation, you thank them for their time and everything. You go home. You want to make sure afterwards you send them a note, send them an email, send them a text, whatever it might be, to let them know, yes, I am interested. When it comes to 4-H contest kind of things, the choice might already be decided, but in some cases, there's 2 or 3 or 4 weeks that things are happening. It shows good, and especially if it's a close call and who's going to get that position to go to DC or to go to Atlanta or to be a state ambassador. Your extra little, hey, I really enjoyed our interview. If there's anything I can do or any other information you need, I'll be glad to answer it. Any little notes like that, or a little note says, hey, very interested in this position. Can you tell me when you'll be knowing? Those kind of notes will kind of put you up above that person that you're tied with or really close with, showing that, hey, I'm willing to go the extra mile to really find out. I'm really interested in this position.
It puts your name in front of them again, too. You know, if there's 6 people being considered, then your name is the last one they're going to see because you've written them and said thank you. And it also shows good manners.
It does. Be polite.
Yeah.
Know the people. Shake your hands on the way out.